everyone. Welcome back to Build. I'm your host, Brittany Jones-Cooper, and today I'm sitting down with Kumail Nanjiani and Dave Bautista to talk about their new movie, Stuber. The action comedy follows an Uber driver who's simply seeking a 5-star rating, but gets taken on the ride of his life when he picks up a cop chasing down a brutal killer. Take a look.
Please be a 5-star ride.
Hey! Uber?
Yeah, be cool, be nice.
Hey, let me guess, you want me to drive you to all the Sarah Connors in the city?
Koreatown, now.
Hold on, I'm gonna bang a Yui here real quick. Nope, don't got it.
Step on it, please.
Oh, didn't quite make it. Just a couple more points and we got it.
Stu, what's going on?
I've been taking this cop around. And we're on, like, cop missions.
Where are you? I want you to come over. I really need you.
3 red roses. Girl is thirsty.
Get me closer.
I got an idea!
You got brass
Don't
balls.
talk about my balls!
It's me and you.
Leave my balls out
We're
of
a
it.
team, buddy. I got him!
I got this.
Hello, operator, we need help. Someone's trying to murder us. Hello, operator, we need help. Someone's trying to murder us. Fuck.
Take a shot, Stu!
Just defeat him!
Stu, take a shot! Tell me what you know.
He was a complicated man. He liked blowjobs from the back. You know how hard that is?
I do.
What?
What?
Put your hands together for Kumail Nanjiani and Dave Bautista. I have to say that ending line was one that made me laugh out loud when I watched the movie last night. It just was so unexpected. All
Which
of it,
line?
The line that she just said. She's like, from the back. Do you know how hard that is? And I was like, wow, that is difficult.
There's a lot of outtakes for that particular scene.
Yeah.
And there were some funny lines. Yeah.
The movie is so fun. And what I think I love most of all is that it is actually a true action film as well.
Yeah.
So it's comedic, it's hilarious, the dialogue is great, but it's also a really great action film. And that balance, I think, is really hard to do. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
Really a fun joyride for me to watch.
Yeah, I love the movie. Yeah.
Pun intended. So how did this casting come together? Because you two, that chemistry feels really organic and dynamic, but how did that start?
I don't know who initially had the idea. I think maybe Jeremy. Jeremy Kramer is our head producer.
At Fox,
Yeah, Fox.
Maybe it was his idea, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I just had met the director, and he was like, "I'm thinking of Dave Bautista for it," and I was like, "Well, I mean, that would be awesome." He's that guy's jumping up and down on the couch back there. I was just a big fan of Dave's, like everybody else is, and I was just excited to work with him. Yeah.
And kind of likewise, I heard Kumail was attached or was interested in the director, Michael Dowse, and then I got the script and just found myself laughing out loud. And so then we set up the chemistry test, and we kind of just hit it off.
Right. What was the chemistry test? Were you just sitting next to each other like you're in a car?
Yeah.
It's an audition. Yeah, it's like this, and I'm like doing this. It's 8 a.m. on a Saturday.
And I'm
Never
going,
felt
drive,
lamer in
drive.
my life. Yeah, just like
Drive.
they're making a video of it. Just one of the worst Saturdays. But yeah, I mean, it worked out because then we got cast in the movie.
What was it like getting to know each other during filming, though? Because you do actually spend a lot of time in this little car, this tight situation. So did that help you guys bond?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a lot of hours in a very close quarters, and we just a lot of conversations, just kind of in general. I think we were both very curious about each other and our lives and our backgrounds, and so it was just very organic. It wasn't forced at all.
Were there any surprising things you learned about him in those moments?
He's lived many lives. He was a lifeguard.
I've never had like a real job, like a real 9-to-5.
Lifeguard's a real job. You're
Yeah, but I've
literally
never had,
saving someone's life.
To punch a clock.
That's
and
a
I have
more-
to wear a suit.
More real job
I
than a
spent-
banker's
Most
job.
of my jobs have involved me wearing something very small.
Yeah, well,
Lifeguard,
that's
wrestling.
more about you than it does the jobs out there. And then you were a bouncer.
I was a bouncer for.
But you
15
wore
years.
full clothes for bouncer. You weren't like in
Well,
your Speedos.
you're assuming a lot there.
Okay.
No, I did. I wore
And then what was it?
Or pants.
Yeah. Just pants?
And then I went into professional wrestling.
And then
And
wrestling?
gave up. Yeah, I gave up my pants.
Wow.
Traded them for trunks.
I've had a very different resume.
Yeah.
You could also wear a Speedo during stand-up if you wanted. I don't think people would argue.
I think some people might argue. I will challenge that assumption. I think it'll be.
He hates when I bring this up. Did you guys see Dave and Mike need?
Mike
Mike and Dave need wedding dates. You weren't wearing much in that.
No, I was pretty naked in that one. Thanks for bringing it up. Hopefully my parents aren't watching BuzzFeed right now. I mean, AOL. Sorry.
Yeah, I was like, come on,
Oh,
man.
I'm so
Have
sorry.
they've never seen it?
This is AOL build.
They've never seen it. They've
I'm
seen
sure
it,
they've
right?
seen it, but so my dad basically was like,
They looked
hey.
away.
Well, he saw the clip somewhere because they released the clip early,
Right.
and he was like, "Hey, mom heard about this and was very disturbed." That was the word he said. He said it was, and I called him and I said, "Please, do not watch this movie. Please, please, please don't." And he said, "Okay," and we haven't talked about it since. So, I don't think they've watched it. Yeah.
They can watch this one because you keep your clothes on.
Yes, they're very excited for this
Yes,
one.
it's exciting.
Yeah, I keep my clothes on. Other people take their clothes off.
That's true.
Yeah.
There's actually, the very hilarious scene with that anyway.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
give it
yeah.
away.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your character, though. Who is Stu/Stuber?
Stuber is a Uber driver, and he's really, he's sort of meek. He kind of lives for other people. He doesn't stand up for himself. And then, he's just sort of a people pleaser kind of guy.
Until he meets Vic.
And Vic is, he's not the nicest person in the world. He's a cop. He's obsessed with his job, and he doesn't really care for much else, even including his family. He just kind of overlooks them, and he's just not a really great person. Just surly and salty and disrespectful and rude.
Not
Smelly.
like Dave at all.
But the opposites attract thing works so well, especially with these buddy comedies, which we've seen, were really big in the 80s.
Yeah.
And I read that was sort of an inspiration for you guys in building your chemistry and building this dynamic.
Yeah, so Mike Dowse, who's the director, and Tripper
Yeah.
Clancy, who wrote the script, they really, really love those movies, as do we, but they really were like, they wanted to be like a throwback
Right.
movie, like the Lethal Weapon or
Right.
48 Hours or Midnight Run or these movies that you saw in the 80s. So that was really their inspiration.
Yeah, it was just the tone they set, because when I read it, I never thought it along those lines. But Dowse was really particular about us going back and looking at certain movies and taking away from certain characters, which were in those films that you named.
What were the movies? You said Midnight Run and...
Mine in particular was 48 Hours.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a character that Nick Nolte played. And Michael didn't want me to rip off the character and be that guy, but there were certain things about him. He was just he was very bullish, and he was just grouchy, and he was surly, just didn't like anybody. He was really obsessed with his jobs, and that came first, and didn't really care about much else.
It is interesting watching movies from that decade, and then now obviously
Yeah.
all the things that are going on politically.
Right.
And there's this really amazing fight that you guys have,
Right.
which is so funny. But also you're talking about
Right.
masculinity at the
Yeah.
same time,
Yeah.
and you're dissecting what is toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
As these two men obviously have very different approaches to what being a
Right.
man means.
Yeah, I love that scene because
Yeah.
it's sort of, we're fighting on both our preferred battlegrounds,
Right.
so it's a debate, but also a physical fight as he likes. And so we're sort of doing this intellectual debate while we're really beating the crap
Right.
out of each other
And
in a sporting goods store.
Yeah, and it
I
really
love
is.
that
It's
scene.
the underlying topic of the film. I mean, it really is a discussion throughout the film. But there, it just comes to kind of a height, and we really get physical.
Yeah, when you're running around away saying the future is female, I was like, this is fantastic.
Thank you.
It's a great way to have the conversation.
Yeah, I think so. While someone's throwing a
so
tricycle
fun.
at your head.
You mentioned the physicality too of that scene. No shade, but he's pretty buff. So
No shade.
I mean, not.
Feel like a lot of shade. Has anyone ever said no shade and then not thrown shade?
No.
No
not
shade
true.
means shade.
It means prepare for
He's
the
great.
shade.
I mean, yeah, he's a
Brace
he's-
yourself.
yeah, shade alert. I mean, yeah, you're right. He's an Adonis. I mean, he's a massive, massive hunk of muscle.
We, what I really loved about this film as a director, he really wanted me. He just wanted me to be an actor, so he wanted to strip away some of that. It's hard to really strip it completely away because I'm just like half gorilla. I'm a big person. I have a big head, I have big shoulders, but I have like a little pudgy suit that I wear. And he wanted me to grow my hair out, which I hated. I was super self-conscious, but he really just wanted to take away that kind of aggressive, muscular look.
What was it like prepping for those sort of physical scenes, though?
It was great because in the movie, you know, I get to pretend that it's an even fight between me and him. We're sort of beating the crap out of each other instead of what would happen in real life, which is it would take 30 seconds and I would be dead.
Yeah.
But a good 30 seconds, right?
No, it would be 5 seconds and then 25 while I bled to death. I would not survive. And people are like nodding their heads, like, yeah, that sounds right. He's right. He's telling the truth. You don't know me. You don't know what I've got. Maybe I'm a biter.
Or a head butter.
I'm not a head butter. You don't want to butt that head. Have you ever head butted anybody, like, for real?
I used to do this move called a spear, which is basically a tackle, like a double leg tackle. And there was another wrestler who did it. His name was Edge. And we were across the ring. I think it was like a big battle royal, one of those Royal Rumble matches. And he was yelling, spear, spear. And I thought he wanted me to spear him.
Right.
But he wanted to spear me. So we just collided heads.
Oh.
And I got busted open.
Oh. Wow.
What's that say about his head?
Yeah,
That's
he's
a guy you don't want to headbutt.
Yeah, wow. Have you ever in a real fight headbutted?
Oh, all the time.
What?
Yeah. I was a bouncer for 30
So you're
years.
just headbutting people?
I was, yeah.
And people would still come to the bar?
Yeah.
Like, don't go there. That huge gorilla man will headbutt you.
Yeah.
He just laughs.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Is that why headbutt feels
I don't think
like,
there's a bouncer that hasn't headbutted someone. It's a part of the job. Give me your ID.
why is headbutting the right move? If it's two heads, is it because you're getting them on the face?
I think because it's so close quarter, and all you have to do is hit someone like that in the nose, and they're just blinded and in pain.
Okay.
So we shouldn't be talking about this.
You know,
stuff.
I
feel like this conversation took a dark turn
Write
somewhere.
it down, everyone.
I want to jump in and say that headbutting is a very effective way to drop somebody.
It really
I have
is,
headbutted brothers of mine.
Really?
When
Yeah,
you are
right?
kind of smaller and
Yeah.
you got a hard head,
See, you know
use
what
what you
I'm
got.
talking about, yeah.
I got you.
How many of your brothers have you headbutted?
All three of them.
Multiple times each?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that was your go-to move. I feel like so lame. I've never headbutted anyone in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody want to headbutt him?
No.
Volunteers.
I didn't say I've never been headbutted. I have not headbutted anyone. I don't want either, though. So sit down.
I just want to make you happy here at BuzzFeed, so whatever you want.
Yeah, I think it's too late. If I was in my 20s, I'd be like, yeah, I'll take a headbutt. I'll headbutt you. But now I'm like, no, I'm going to take a nap.
I also want to point out that Iko Uwais, am I saying his name right?
Iko Uwais.
Yeah, he is an amazing martial artist, and you have some really intense scenes with him. So, and he also was a choreographer for the film.
Yeah, he choreographed the fights.
Yeah. So take me through that, because those are intense, and he's just so beautiful to watch.
He's like a different level. It was a whole new learning thing for me as well. I think everybody was so like in awe of him because he's so talented. We had to fix some things on the fly because he came over and he had already choreographed a bunch of the fight scenes with other members of his stunt team and came over, I guess, thinking that I would be able to do the same things, but you know, these guys are like trained martial artists.
It was like, I can headbutt you.
I can headbutt you, and and then feel bad about it later. But that's about it. But anyway, we did things to match, so he would match my style fight, and I would match his, and it would make it work. And it was actually a really interesting collaboration. Yeah.
How much of that can you pull from your wrestling background, or is it all just different?
No, it's a lot of the selling I pull from, but a lot of the action itself is very different because. Professional wrestling is we're playing towards a big audience. A lot of times it's just very big and broad and very big performance. Whereas on film fighting is very detailed. We're playing for camera angles. So it's an interesting process. I have a really great stunt man that I've used since the first Guardians, and I really depend on him for his advice, and he's really good at adjusting me and tweaking me so that I look like the tough guy.
Is he the one that got thrown into all the bikes in the movie? Because I saw that scene, I was like, that.
No,
was tough.
that's him. If you see anything extremely violent or somebody being set on fire or jumping off the top of a building, that's not me. Yeah, it's not me. Yeah.
Awesome. I also want to point out it was such an education about Uber, this film. And I want yeah, it really was. I want to know, do you guys have good Uber ratings, or is that something you have to rethink now after this movie?
Mine's not good.
Yeah.
No, it's lower than it should be. I'm polite to
I
everybody.
don't get that at all. I don't know what mine is. I've never looked.
I mean,
No?
I tip well, and I don't.
I tip well.
Very polite and courteous.
Yeah, my rating's lower than it should be.
When you say lower, what do you mean? Like, can I have a range?
It's still in the 4s.
Okay, all right. So you're not a monster.
No.
It should be.
I
but
think you'd have to be like punching people in the head to get anything below a 4. Because I give everybody 5s unless they're like almost kill me or they're fully racist. Even half racist, I'm like 5 stars.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're going to start docking points for half racism, the whole world is gone.
Everybody.
Yeah, that's everybody. Yeah, I don't know why. My rating's not good. How's yours?
I think it's like average.
Which is what?
I think it's like a 4.7 or something.
That's
it's not
real
great.
good. That's solid. No, 4.7.
It's-
Hold your head up high.
Yeah. I have a heavy hand, though. I slam doors, I think, sometimes.
So that's why you got 0.3 off.
Yeah. But you don't know yours. You think it's good.
I don't know, but I have a theory. I've shared this. This is my theory for Kumail's bad ratings. I think it's because people recognize him and they expect them to, he's supposed to come in and make them laugh. And he's, usually very focused, most of the time a serious person. So if he's not, performing, his comedy act in the back, they're a little disappointed. So like, man, forget that guy.
So yeah, I guess it is on me.
That's my theory, yeah.
Well, I should maybe start.
You're so nice. You're like the nicest guy ever.
I'm
You're
so
a good tipper.
nice.
You're generous.
I'm so generous. I tip really well. Yeah, I'm a great guy. Top 5 guys I've ever met.
Something I really loved about this film is that it for me it felt like a departure for each of you in a way.
Yeah, well,
this is your first real true comedy,
yeah.
and this is a really kind of action-packed film for you where I've only seen you in pure comedies.
Yeah.
So why is that important for both of you to kind of break out and do something so different?
I think we were both looking for the same thing, coming from different perspectives, but looking for the same accomplishment. And for me, it was comedy. For Kumail, it was action. But we really want the same accomplishment. We want credibility. We want our careers to be well-rounded. And so we want to be respected by our peers. And the way to do that is to conquer every genre, say that you can do anything. And people, I mean, it feels good when people will say that you can do anything. That's a statement for me that says that you're a great actor.
Yeah, same. I just want to be able to do all different kinds of genres, you know? Yeah.
I read that you said you want to star in your own Big Sick.
I do.
Like you would love a more kind of dramatic, heartfelt
That
film.
is what I see myself doing. Which sounds odd because I look the way I do, but that's the type of film I love. Like I love indie films. I love drama. So we've talked about this a little, and I keep saying that I have a project I'm going to pitch to him because it's very much, I want it to be along the same tone as Big Sick. It's a different story, but I feel like it could be told in the same way because it's a very charming, very, personal way. And I'm a storyteller at heart, and that's what I like to do. I like to tell stories.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I also saw an article of you sort of in the gym beefing up for a
your
future
shirt off.
potential
Take your
role.
shirt off.
Maybe we won't say anything,
He's almost like super jacked.
but a more action-oriented role. Yeah. So that's something you really want to kind of prove that you can do is just more action.
Yeah. I want to be jacked.
Who doesn't?
No, who doesn't? Yeah. I would love to be. Yeah, because people, make like comments like, "What are you gonna do? Action?" I'm like, "Yeah." Can I swear on this? Yes. Yeah, motherfucker. I want to do action. Of course I do.
Yeah.
And so I sort of, I decided like if I can be buff, if I can be like a buff Pakistani guy who's funny, there's nobody else like that. I'll be able to do exactly that, and nobody else will.
Is there any way that you guys have been able to help each other, or have you learned anything from each other kind of as you're breaking into different projects? I mean, like, he's so jacked. Have you tried to take some of his I
don't know. We do. We talk about working out a lot. I think we talk about more personal stuff than professional stuff.
Right. Yeah, we mostly talk about what's your favorite song, and it just gets really personal, talking about relationship with parents and that kind of stuff and things like that.
It's a real friendship you guys formed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it's real. Yeah,
I can feel it.
yeah.
I feel like you don't want to headbutt each other at all.
No.
I
beautiful.
He
definitely
maybe
don't
probably
want
wants to headbutt me because he knows, like, I'm the guy who I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, because
doesn't
you're
fit.
very strong. It would do nothing to you.
No, because he knows I'm not going to get mad at him. I'm just going to.
If I headbutted you, you would get mad.
No, I wouldn't.
You really?
No.
Well, who?
I'd probably laugh. I'd probably laugh.
This is not a
It'd be
compliment.
so like absurd. That,
Yeah.
that you would just headbutt me. I'd probably.
Oh my God! If you headbutted me, I would not be laughing. That would not be my reaction.
Before we get out of here, we do have a couple questions from the audience. Who do we have first? Right here.
Hello there, Big Dave.
Hey, man.
Oh, I like your shirt,
Oh, thank you very much.
Crash Bandicoot.
It's a classic as always. Crash Bandicoot as always. I have been a big fan of Bautista here for the last 17 plus years, ever since like Evolution and the quotes of such as "Basketball don't hold grudges." You're supposed to be my friend. But I've been following your career, and I gotta say you're one hell of a pro wrestler and one hell of an actor.
Oh, thanks, man.
And you too
Thank
as
you.
well.
I was never a pro wrestler.
Yeah. Not yet.
But
Yeah. Not
but
yet.
my question is, how is the transition from professional wrestling to acting?
Right. It was hard. It was really hard. It was when I left. There was 3 years that I barely worked, and I couldn't. It was a weird thing because I found it hard for people to take me seriously when I said I wanted to be an actor, and also there's a lot of labeling that goes along with being a professional wrestler. There's a certain stigma that is stuck with you when you're moving and when you're transitioning into other forms of entertainment. And I was kind of stuck with that. I couldn't even get an agent to represent me. They just didn't know what to do with me. They didn't know where I fit in. You know, a guy who looks like me is showing up and say, "Yeah, I want to do dramatic roles." They're going to like, "Nah, I don't think so. You want to do action? You know, we can get you this paycheck and get paid for this. You know, that's going straight to DVD." And I was like, "Not a chance. That's not what I want for my career. That's not why I'm in this." So it was a long road. It was a long 3 years where I went hungry. I lost all my money. I lost everything I had built from wrestling until Guardians came along. And Guardians changed my life, and I've been a working actor ever since.
You are truly an inspiration.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
And you officially retired from the WWE in April, right?
Yeah, I went back this year to wrap up my career.
Yeah.
And it's something I've wanted to do for years, and it finally happened this past year. Kumail went with me because we had when we were filming Stuber, I was obsessing over it. I was talking about it constantly because it was my last opportunity. I wasn't going to wrestle past 50. You know, I wouldn't be older than 50 and step back in the ring. I just wasn't going to do it. I just thought it was too risky, and also I don't want to be that guy like who's overstayed his welcome, and people are looking at me like they're cheering because they feel like, you know, there's nostalgia there, or they feel bad for me, and I just don't want to be that guy. Like, I want people to respect my career, and because I'm very proud of it. So I went back and wrapped it up.
And you were there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went. I had my Dave Bautista T-shirt. I was in the front row. I had two huge Dave Bautista heads, and then he lost. So maybe my bad.
I had to, you know, this was my storybook ending. I always saw myself going out on my back. That was just kind of something. It's a very old school thing to do. But it was a great, like when I did my intro, came out, did my intro. But when the lights went down is when I like really started having fun. I went to Kumail, and he was just having such a great time. That's when, I mean, even I went over to like Triple H's parents, and I'm giving them hugs. How you guys been? But it was just, I mean, those are, you know, the things you don't really see, but that's all a part of being an entertainer. Those moments that you know, I love.
Was it cool to see him, this guy that you had now gotten to know, in his full element like that?
It was great. I was a little scared that he'd get hurt, you know, because he's my friend. But watching it up close it was really, really interesting.
Yeah.
It was really kind of a dream come true. Because I was a wrestling fan in sort of the 90s. That's when I was really into it.
Yeah.
And then never got to go to a WrestleMania until this year. So thank you.
Dreams come true.
Yeah.
And one more question.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Awesome to meet you. Kumail, before I get to my question, I just have to say, your movie, The Big Sick, was like a huge inspiration and influence to me when I was writing my screenwriting portfolio for NYU, and I got in, and I'm starting this fall. So thank you.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah, thank
I'm
you.
excited to see what you make.
Thanks. So you have such like an eclectic like filmography, and most of it is involving comedy. So I was wondering, like, how do you define comedy, like in your life and in your experiences?
How do I define comedy?
Like, what does comedy mean to you? Like your definition of it for you?
Stuff that's funny? I don't know. I've never actually thought about it. You know, I think it's something that you can't really think about too much because that sort of then kills it. I think, you know, whenever I'm doing something, I always start from not a comedy place. I think making a movie or writing something, I think comedy is the last thing that you add to it. So for instance, for Big Sick, it was a very dramatic story, and we first mapped out the very dramatic story and didn't worry about what would be funny or not, and just trusted that once we got the story down and the character beats down, that then we'd be able to make it funny in a real way. So to me, comedy is not sort of it's a means to an end, really. It's not the end in and of itself. So it's like a tool, I think, more than it is a destination. That's how I feel.
And this is just my observation from watching him, but I think it's also sometimes it's perception, because he did things on the film that to me on paper weren't funny, but when he said them in a certain way or with a certain tone, they were hysterical. You know, but if again, it's like simple, it's just words on paper, but when you say it with a certain attitude, certain tone, it becomes funny. So I think it's all the way that you're looking at something. You know, it's all a perception of what those words are, what they mean. You know.
Was there a film in this, or a scene in the film that you guys just constantly cracked up doing, or that had the most sort of fun taping?
There were a lot of them.
Yeah, there were a lot of them. I'm trying to think of one particular one. I mean, it's probably something in the car, right? Where you get loopy and then you're like, we start laughing and you can't stop.
Sometimes it's not even what we're shooting, it's just what we're doing and the circumstances we're having to deal with. Because there were a lot of those scenes where, it's like 4 or 5 in the morning and we're in this like tiny little space, but we have to turn around with this big gun and start shooting and stuff's flying and hitting us in the face and like, just things like that.
Yeah, there was one, it's not in the movie, it's an outtake where he was doing an impression of me, and that one I could not get through because it was so funny.
And that was a thing that just came up. I don't know
Yeah,
how
that
it
was
happened.
just like, Mike was like, do an impression of him. And then he was like doing this impression of me in the car, and I just couldn't stop laughing.
So and then he kept telling me to do it again. He wanted me to do it, but
Yeah,
he kept
I felt
laughing.
bad because I kept laughing.
I can't wait to see the outtakes on that. That sounds amazing. Well, guys, the film was so much fun to watch. Like I said, the action is true and there, and you guys nailed it. And the comedy is unwavering throughout. So congrats on the film.
Thank you.
I think the fans are really gonna love it.
I hope so.
Yeah. And if you guys want to check out Stuber hits theaters on July 12th, give it up for Kumail Nanjiani and Dave Bautista.
Thank you. Thank you.